Hi, and welcome to another edition of Facebook Live with Corporate College. My name is Ashley Speaker. I'm the program coordinator for open enrollment programs here at Corporate College, and I'm here with one of our industry experts. This is Norbert Majerus. Majerus, sorry, I just want to make sure I got that right. Thank you. And we're here to talk about lean in product innovation and development. This is a great topic, happening topic. Lots of companies are trying to get on the cutting edge of product development and innovation so that they can lead the way for cutting costs, but also customer satisfaction in their processes. So with that, I want to start off with if you could just give us a little bit of your background in continuous improvement and in the industry itself and where you find yourself.
Okay, well, thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate that. I spent my whole career, about 40 years, in innovation, in product development and innovation. I worked for Goodyear, both in Europe and then here in the United States. The last 15 years of my career, I was asked to bring lean thinking in the innovation process, innovation creation process. And so I developed a lot of experience in that area. And now that I'm retired, I appreciate opportunities to share that experience with a wider audience. And, I assume that's why I like to take advantage of opportunities like this.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we're so glad you're here. 40 years of experience in the industry definitely means you've seen a lot of different things and processes and have dealt with different ways to implement lean, I'm sure. But for those that are kind of new to product development and innovation and maybe are new to the concept of improvement, continuous improvement and lean, could you explain a little bit, just a brief overview of what lean is?
Well, actually, lean comes from Toyota. Or from Japan, but mainly Toyota. In the 90s, it became obvious that Japanese companies were very quick in bringing their products to the American market. And when people went over to Japan to study what are they doing, or why are they so successful, they found out that they developed processes that were very efficient. Not as wasteful as a lot of American processes. And it worked very well in manufacturing. It took hold of manufacturing very quickly. But Toyota did describe their process that they use for product development, but that was very, very slow to penetrate in the American or European or Western industry. But then over the years, we learned that there is a lot of benefit to it. And I think what a lot of companies did, they brought in lean. Lean in manufacturing is brought in to be more efficient and to reduce cost. But product development and innovation is such a small percent of a company's cost that it's 3 to 4% maximum. So why would you focus on those 3% if you can focus on the 50% that manufacturing normally plays? And then, as I said, manufacturing was quite successful because it's such a big number, but the small number in product development did not really make a big difference until companies started to discover that if you want to bring lean thinking into the innovation or the product development, you do not bring it in to cut costs.
Okay.
You bring it in to create value for the customer and create a competitive advantage. And once we learned that, things took off very fast. For example, at Goodyear, we learned that if we are just faster than the competition, we can create so much additional value. So we used that kind of thinking to become better, to become faster, and to generate revenue for the company. And that's the secret that a lot of companies have not realized yet. That's where you want to focus lean on, create value for the customer, create that value more efficiently, that you can be better than your competitors, and do it at a much better quality.
Right, and I think a lot of businesses want to be at that point, right? Those would be their aims: do it better, do it faster, and more efficiently. So, can you tell me a little bit more about the product development or innovation process? Someone that maybe I'm not in the industry, or somebody maybe is on the other side, maybe they're a decision maker for these teams, but they're not actually in the process.
Yeah, very good. Basically, for me, it all starts with new ideas, new thinking. Watching customers, seeing what problems they have, solving those problems, or even just develop those ideas and then find a market for it. And that's where the whole thing starts. And from there, the product development process goes into developing the technology, and then finally developing or designing the product and launching the product. So there again, a lot of companies brought in lean in the last phase, when it's just about launching, managing the launch, and then getting everything ready in time to have it in the market. But then we learned from the lean startups that really probably, if you look at the idea phase, the very fuzzy front end where you don't even have a product yet, that's where lean can do the biggest things for you. And actually, that's how the Googles and the Amazons and the Ubers and all those companies became so successful. They showed us that lean helps looking at many ideas that before companies couldn't afford to look at such a vast number of ideas. They showed us, they taught us how to do that, how to look at the very big spectrum, and then very quickly narrow it down to those that are going to make or break it, those that are going to really make you a fortune of money. And that is something very important that we were able to learn from those companies. It works very well. I implemented it at Goodyear to some extent. Actually, I retired during that implementation, but I have worked with clients since, and it works really well. And then also that technology development phase, which is the basic research, actually. I was surprised how well it works there. I discovered that kind of at the end of my career, but I was really amazed how well that same thinking works there. And actually, that's where we borrow a big page from the Toyota book, how to use lean in the basic research area.
So, I mean, when you explain it in those terms, it almost seems like a no-brainer to take like almost a holistic approach to each part of it. What type of barriers might someone face in trying to implement it if they're only doing it at the manufacturing side and they want to like take a step back and say, maybe we should do this in the product innovation side? Yeah. I'm sure there's barriers there.
Well, a lot of these barriers are created by experience from some companies who did it backwards. Some companies try to bring the rigorous manufacturing thinking into the product development, and that does not always go along very well with the creativity that you need there. And to focus on 5S and make sure people clean up their desks doesn't gets you very little return. So, but there are principles that work from the manufacturing that work very well in the office, everywhere in the office, not only product development and research, like for example, the focus on flow works very well there, to even have a pull system. You can even bring Kanban cards in there. That works very well. But then we also learned from Toyota that companies invest a fortune in creating knowledge, creating reusable knowledge. And there's a big focus. If you put your focus on that part, you really get very, very good returns out of the lean thinking. And then, of course, when it comes to the creative phase of product development, there the thinking changes quite drastically. The start, that's where it took the learning from the lean startups to understand that process, how you can bring in these hundreds of ideas and then very, very quickly pick the ones that are going to be the winners, and to reduce your risk very dramatically by applying that thinking. So I think it's a matter of education. I think a lot of people do equate lean with what has worked in manufacturing, the very standardized manufacturing process, and have a hard time to see the benefits that it can generate when you do it right. I also believe that a lot of leaders do not understand that and say, okay, why bother about that 3% cost that R&D is costing the company? We have bigger opportunities. But there again, those leaders do not understand that you apply lean to creating the opportunities, to creating the value for the customer, not to reduce the cost of R&D. So I think leadership education is a big one, and I think getting over some of these paradigms that it kills creativity and so on is another opportunity that we have to promote this kind of thinking.
Yeah. So I mean, when you're talking about the customer value at the end of the day, I mean, that's a huge selling point, especially to leadership, to understand lean better. Could you give us an example of getting to that point, or how the speed to the market or the customer value, how lean can play a role in that?
Well, I can give you an example on speed to market, a very easy one. I worked on it myself when in 2008, 2009, when the crisis started to hit, financial crisis, the fuel prices skyrocketed. And at Goodyear, we had already deployed a very fair amount of lean processes at that time. And it only took Goodyear about 6 months to launch a fuel-efficient tire. And it was really a very good product. It was also marketed very well. But the good news for Goodyear was that there was no competition at that time. And it took basically competition about 2 years to copy that product and or to develop their own version of it. And at that time, the fuel prices had already started to come down. So for that whole time, Goodyear was out there by the only brand offering such a tire. And that was making millions of dollars of extra revenue. And that was a direct result of the lean process that we had implemented that created the agility in this case to take a market opportunity and very quickly jump on it and take advantage of it. So that's a very good example. That would not have happened without deploying a process that looks at customer value. At that time, a fuel-efficient tire created value for the customer because it took, you paid over $4 for a gallon of fuel. And it was very easy to convince the customer that that is value to them. And so the other thing was the speed at which you really have to take advantage of those opportunities extremely quickly. So that's a good example of how we could take advantage of that thinking and that process.
Yeah, I mean, that's a wonderful example. And to think about being a leader and being that far ahead of the curve of getting that product, having that idea, seeing a need, and getting it to market so quickly. So what type of ways too does lean improve the efficiency of all those processes?
But that's a kind of a very interesting question. And here is something that, again, we learned as we deployed the whole process. Of course, we understood very well invest in the speed is going to give us a very big competitive advantage. But then at the end of the day, we also realized we got the efficiency for free. Because what really happened, the way you get faster is you create flow, you eliminate waste and all those kind of things. At the end of the day, we found that engineers were doing 2 to 3 times more engineering work, value-added work now, rather than spending a big part of their time on waste, and had a major efficiency improvement that we really hadn't planned for. So you can say it's a lucky thing. Well, at that time I may have agreed with that, but now I'm saying, hey, I know that if I can make this process faster, if I can more efficiently focus on customer value, eliminate all that wasted time and effort, I become more efficient. So I think, again, something not very well known, but the efficiency comes pretty much for free with the process.
Wow. And I mean, you've described so many great advantages. You've even written a book to talk about product innovation, which really shows the scope and depth of knowledge of, individuals like you that are passionate about, innovation and lean concepts, and then your willingness to give back. I mean, I just want to thank you so much for being with us here today to discuss any of this, all of these great aspects people are interested in. Here at Corporate College, we offer many great opportunities to learn more about Lean. We have a link in our post for this video. If you want to visit, contact us, talk to us more. Norbert teaches some of our courses here. Fantastic wisdom that you're passing on. And I'm sure there's a lot of great, more examples and anecdotes you can give us along the way. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. Wonderful. So be sure to tune in next time.